right, come and get some. Glad that's over.
summons me from my ethereal wanderings. Muzar. What kind of beast is this? Paxel Tech. I can share my wanderings with you. But first, I seek the knowing, the truth of nature held within your ark. You want to answer? So I will ask. Answer these questions true, sweet beast, so that your ark may be known and your eye may open. And do choose wisely. Answer from your heart. You are part of a group of druids who have been taken hostage by a warlord. One of the warlord's soldiers succumbs to your charms and says he will help you escape. However, the others must be left behind to die, though all have done nothing. Do you abandon your fellow hostages, or do you face death together? Oh dear. No bother, it's nothing. Moving on. Consider that it is you who discovers the Thane, the tree that offers immortality to all who eat its fruit. You could share this gift with all, but doing so may lead to war and embitterment, to the immortality of those who do not deserve it and will only abuse eternal life. Or you could limit immortality to the deserving, and thus, through the deserving, bring a better life for all. Do you give immortality to all, or only a chosen few? Well done. Your child has taken up a dangerous game, taunting a wild beast for their amusement. If they continue, they will almost certainly get hurt, though they will learn much if they are not killed. Do you stop them, or let them learn from their own mistakes? I see. Your daughter has been killed. The murderer is arrested, and after many years, they are sentenced to death. Before the sentence is carried out, they come to you and explain that they are truly sorry, and they ask for your forgiveness. Nothing you say will change their sentence, nor bring your daughter back. Do you forgive them? Fascinating. You lead a mountain expedition that is stranded in the lofty reaches. Your retinue includes a family of 6 with an inherited nutrient deficiency. One individual's kidneys contain large amounts of this nutrient. The family can be saved if you remove this individual's kidneys to extract the nutrients. The would-be donor is opposed to this plan. They will not die, but their health will be forever compromised. Do you save the family, or do you let the family suffer by sparing the unwilling donor? Ooh, how revealing. You have chosen your path, sweet beast. Your heart is true. May the power of the doe's eye free you from your incarnate shackles. In the arc of every being, there are 2 eyes. We may see out of either, but most favor one over the other. The Ravager's eye is dynamic, driven, and endlessly hungry. Yet for all its power, its vision is clouded. The eye of the Ravager rarely sees beyond its own satiation. Like an animal chasing its tail, it knows no rest. The doe's eye sees only what is before it. The gift of the doe is subtle, easily missed. It is a most mysterious presence inside oneself, conferring power without force, just as the doe itself cannot be sought, nor tracked, nor hunted. By answering true, sweet beast, you give me a wink, and now the gifts of your dominant eye will be open to you. Would you care to hear a tale? It is about those who see as you do. I will tell you of Ramaril, the servant child of the Vaunt. I found Ramaril as a babe, large and angry as only a hungry babe can be. Nothing became of him, as it happened. He grew from a great, crying babe to a great, quiet Pan. He served without word or complaint. None knew his name, for though one might thank the creator of a meal or a washroom, who even considers the child who merely cleans up after? When the Krell came, they laid siege to the temple. None could escape nor call for help. All were doomed. The doe's eye opened in Ramaril that day. He was no fighter and had no training of any kind. But he lifted the largest shield he could find and told the others to run once he'd made away. He drove dozens of Krell over a cliff, and himself with them. Later, his masters came to me seeking to know more of this boy who had saved them, whom I had laid at their doorstep. I told them many stories. One might even consider them true. Before we go any further, I must ask. I sense you carrying something. Something that belonged to my sister. That ring. Why do you have it? It is my sister's ring. This can only mean one thing. You killed her. Ah, then mortal misunderstands. What you destroyed was not my sister, not as I knew her. The root had consumed her. She suffered in that form. You have freed her on behalf of all of my sisters. Thank you. Keep her ring and treasure it with our gratitude. Truly? Thank you, sweet beast. You will be forever honored among us. However, I cannot let you go empty-handed. You should have this. Now, what can I do for you? Is there anything else? Knowledge of me? Of our wonderful world? You stand before Medra, spirit of the natural world, daughter of stem and stream. My sisters and I are the glorious weavers of all wild beauty. When mountain, spring, and sturdy tree trunk take your breath, sweet beast, that is us. That is our blessing. An immeasurable number. Mother stem and mother stream rely on us to sprawl and grow. Though we don't often commune with beasties such as you. Not in this age. Especially not since what happened to Kaula. A tragedy, beast. Tragedy most cruel. Keula was fascinated by mortals, by your lives and stories. Unlike most of us, she made herself no secret. And you worshipped her with your short lives, even built her a house. A temple, you called it. The root found her there. We godlings are not easily unwoven, however, and it slew her not. But perhaps it would be better if it had. For what remains is no longer the sister I knew. But we hold happy thoughts. Regret only wastes one life with another. Is there something else we can talk about? By day, a dappled glade of emerald branch and golden leaf, carpeted by downy moss. By night, sweet beast, the trees bewitch the lost and inebriated. Or so it was before this age of extermination. How I long to return to play. This age, for me, holds only decay. Go with the grace of the doe, sweet beast. Might I be of assistance again? Very well, sweet beast. Be on your way.
That was rough.
Blade and spear, shield and stone. To arms! They come! They... What? A Paxeltech. A terrible wonder, even for one who has seen many wonders. If its kind walk Yesha foreigner, then surely the wheel of the world is set to turn again. Perhaps it will grind me at last. Pain now outweighs peace in the measure of my days. God murderer. Know it nothing of the hoofless who have voyaged before it? Is it innocent of the lifeblood that stains its hairless hands? Curious. A curious race, Paxeltech are, to be sure. How came I to this wretched state? Its eyes reached the question. Before its tongue left home or hearth, the tumbling ruin beneath its tender pads was once a fortification, an encircling bulwark to the greatest conurbation ever brought forth on Yesha's soil. Such faith we put in its solidity. Merchant and marshal, peasant and prince, their souls kneeled at the altar of within and without. But a wall is a false god, built to crumble. The only thing a wall ever truly divides is a fool from his wisdom. The rifts open swiftly. They split the bulwark stone as a hot needle kisses the onion skin of a boil, and the pus poured through on tangled wooden limbs. Yes, the final calamity. Their numbers endless. They rushed upon us like a river in flood. The end began. Teeming with life. The sun has never shone on a city greater, ruined, so that I might not even visit it in dreams. Charnel. Yes, the final calamity. Their numbers endless. For 40 days, we fought them on these steps. The soldiers fell first. That we knew the children would be next. And so, we flung our very bodies into the breach. Some were torn apart like green shoots in a glutton's teeth. Others were swallowed whole and vanished from the sphere. I stuck, anguished cork in a malign bottle. It seethes around me. It waits to disgorge its grotesqueries once more upon Yesha's scalded skin. Please, Paxeltech, wanderer, it who would do right, put its edge to this cursed snarl. Vent its rage upon it. We lay there are no strangers to the last voyage. Destroy the knot. Tarry not. Take sure steel to my hated prison. Spend not its concern on one who wants no more of this half-life. Tarry not. Take sure steel to my hated prison. Spend not its concern on one who wants no more of this half-life. Please, Voyager. Its weaponry is handy. Do not hesitate. Strike the growth. Sunder the snarl. Please, Voyager. Its weaponry is handy. Do not hit. Please, Voyager. Its weaponry is handy. Do not hesitate. Strike the grove. Sunder the star. Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of the life. Hurry north. Still to my hated prison. Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of the life. Hurry north. Still to my hated prison. Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of the life. It's weapons in his handy. Do not tarry not. Take sure steel to my hated prison. Spend what is concerned on one who wants no peace. It's handy. Do not hesitate. Strike the grove. Sunder the snarl. Peace, Voyager. It's weapon is handy. Do not hesitate. Strike the grove. Sunder the snarl. Strike! Strike! The splinters of the north! Peace, Voyager! Its weaponry is handy! Do not hesitate! Strike the grove! Sunder the snarl! Peace, Voyager! Its weaponry is handy! Do not hesitate! Strike the grove! Sunder the snarl! Strike! The splinters of the north! Tarry not! Take sure steel to my hated prison! Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of this half-life! Tarry not! Take sure steel to my hated prison! Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of this half-life! Tarry not! Take sure steel to my hated prison! Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of this half-life! Tarry not! Take sure steel to my hated prison! Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of this half-life! Tarry not! Take sure steel to my hated prison! Spend what is concerned on one who wants no more of this half-life! Strike! The splinters of
Here they come.
Please, Voyager! Please! Each weaponry is handy. Sunder the star! Strike! Big splinters of the north! Strike! Big splinters of the north! Strike! Big splinters of the north! Handy! Do not hesitate! Strike the north! Steel to my hated prison! Hurry! Please, Voyager! Andy! Don't hesitate! Strike the goal! Suffer the storm! Hurry, Lord! Of life! Please, Voyager! Please, Voyager! Do not hesitate! Strike the goal! Suffer the storm! Please, Voyager! Do not hesitate! Strike the goal! Suffer the storm! Am I? Is this real? Or has insensate madness claimed me? Paxeltag. I have not tasted air unmixed with the foul humors of the tango in an age's age, nor dared I dream that I ever might again, much less feel the soft touch of good soil beneath my hooves, or the kiss of the wind on my free fur. Faithless, faithless have I been, and yet Paxeltag came, with war in its right hand, and temperance in its left. The Paxeltag came, and I am saved. Two-handed warrior. It has my allegiance, whatever may come. Paxeltag have a gift for death, this much is true, but they are not all destroyers. Perhaps if it fights with us, perhaps the root may yet be crushed under the wheel of time. Take this, though it be a relic of Wheelamer, stewards of death. Wield it in defense of life. No thanks is needed, for I owe it a debt unpayable. I think I shall linger here a while yet. Many are those who fell on these blood-soaked steps. No, some are now naught but bones. They each deserve the funerary rites of royalty. These I shall endeavor to complete with whatever time is left to me. If its road should ever wind this way again, grace me with a visit. There are yet tales of Yesha, I might tell it, if it cares to hear them shared. On the contrary, it has been ages since I felt so very much alive. Let us first be properly introduced. Once I was called Lich, foremost of the Lemir. High priest of the dead. How I gloried in that title. Would that I had known the irony. A funerary priest of the deathless, the highborn, one who wraps the powerful in glory, and a Muslim who seals the secrets of the eternal empress with sweet seed oil and with night sap. We guarded the flesh of the great and sought their resurrection among these trusted sacred pan. I was the utmost. I relish the favor of her permanence. More fool I. For many epochs, the Highborn did not fear the flow of time, for the fruit of the Thane tree kept it at bay. But there are other ways to die. Misadventure. The Eternal Empress dreamed of defeating this final terminus. If life could be taken, could it not be given back? The flesh was preserved against that question's answer. This was the province of the Lemir. But let us start at the beginning. Much would I have it know. And to know all, it must know what is first. Would it hear the history of the Pan? In the time before time, the Pan lived in the place that was. It is said that there came a great plague that ravaged the land so that the fields were seeded only with the bones of the dead and yielded only the cries of the bereft. With his flock drowning in woe, the leader of the Pan held forth a great decree. 100 ships were built to hold 10,000 souls, with their god of many faces cutting the waves before them. The Pan that were ventured across the Vilkmarza, the dark sea, through the long night. The Vaunts prayed and the Red Widows wept, for no one knew if the dark sea had a far shore. 100 days lit the 100 ships, and 100 nights drew their swaddling across them too. But on the 101st day, as the Red Widow in the foremost ship bowed her horns to the god of many faces, a bird lit between them, singing, "Glory to the Pan, for they have reached the King Mother." Yesha rose like the dawn before them, unseen, untamed, and free. The king who was, him known to the Pan as Kolket the War-Handed, later Kolket the Woebegone, and at last as Kolket the Wise. Quick of blade was he in his youth, a fearsome general who watered the tree of progress with the lifeblood of many enemies. But the exploits of youth brought Kolket no peace in age. They say he took the plague as fate's judgment against his warlike eye. Fate offered a choice: flee the land of his fathers, or end his line as the king of death. Kolket hesitated no more in pilgrimage than he had in war. He raised up ships as once he had raised regiments. He sailed from the place that was with a heart full of hope. He was never to see Yesha's shores. He passed in peace before the crossing's end, greeting death. The god of many faces had been with the Pan since the place that was. Longer. None speak of a time before its guardianship. It was a god as real as the soil beneath us. A god one could visit, a god one could touch. Its ways were not known, but all agreed it loved us and ever would. More would I have it hear of this, for this tendril twines with its own. But patience two-handed one, each thing in time. In those days, there was no empress. There were no queens. Kolket the Wise passed on the dark sea and left no heir. It was only agreed that the clergy should step in where Kolket had stood. The Vaunts spoke for the many-faced one, and the Red Widows spoke for the sun, stone, sky, and stream. It had been ever thus. Now, they linked hands to cradle the destiny of the Pan. For 80 days, the Vaunts fell prostrate upon Yesha's unfamiliar shore. They prayed for a sign that our searching was over, and that this forest should be ours. On the 80th day, two forms emerged from the depths of the jungle. First came a doe with coat of red. Where it walked, the soil gave forth flowers and sweet berries, and they took it as a sign of grace. But behind the doe came another. A wolf with fur as lightless as the obsidian waves the Pan had so lately crossed. Surely, this great beast was a portent of death. Yet, desperate were these threadbare priests of old, and of these visions to their charges, these Vaughns spoke only one. And why not? The doe fills all who glimpse it with a spirit of hope and a sense of growth. It leaps among the shrub and bramble even now, even with Yesha sundered by the root. There are those who think it more than a spirit, a god in waiting. These call themselves the children of the red doe. Those who glimpse the doe often glimpse the wolf, for the latter seems compelled to pursue the former. Yet, to hear those early Vaughns tell it would be to hear of many different wolves in pursuit, and only one doe. A simple deception, but a far-reaching one. Modern Pan know the truth. What must it be to spend an eternity chasing that which one might catch but may not kill? For the wolf and the doe have often met, antler and tooth, hoof and claw. The doe may spill the wolf's blood, and the wolf may taste the doe's flesh, but never the other's life to take. Yesha itself forbids it. They say the chase has driven the wolf quite mad. With the assurance of the Vaughns, the Pan took to Yesha and she to us. And for a time, there was stillness. Men were born who had never known the land that was, nor the endless sea at their backs. One such was called Genus. She was but 15 springs when she felt the calling of the Red Widows, and not 3 more when she felt the touch of sickness. As Genus approached the door of death, she sought her sisters, for there were no Lamer yet, and it was the Red Widows who ushered the Pan into the soil. But Genus's malady was known to the Widow Mother, to her, to the Elder Pan. It seemed the plague had found them again, even on this distant shore. Genus was shunned, cast out into the jungle, and her name was forbidden from Pan lips. None among them could have foreseen what would come next. Plague-ridden and scorned, the Red Widow Genus had been cast into the jungle to be forgotten. But fate had other plans. After many days in the jungle, Genus emerged. The Pan were humbled, for all signs of plague had been lifted from the young Genus, replaced by a regal gait none could deny. Fascinated, all assembled to hear her tale. And quite a tale it was. Genus spoke of a vision that had come upon her as she lay in the moss, gasping out her last. In her vision, The plagues had returned. Pan, young and old, wailed and keened and spat their last blood on Yesha's pristine sand. But then, when all seemed lost, a great tree rose out of the jungle, strange and wonderful, and heavy with luminous fruit. This tree, the Thane, she named it, gave all who ate of it a life unending. The Pan embraced it, and their glory stretched on. For 1,000 epochs, Genos rose to power on this. A spire built of words. By spreading her message of doom and salvation. The Red Widows were easy converts, inclined to believe their sister, and eager to spread her vision to all the Pan. In time, they held more sway than even the Vaughn's. It was a great shift. It would not be the last. Among the Red Widows, Genos was quickly elevated to Widow Mother. The crops flourished, and the villages spread. The jungle receded from the shore. It is difficult to say. Genos has had charge of her own legend for an age of ages. Suffice to say, there is enough truth to her vision for me to know her personally, though I was born some 30 mothers hence, and yet, in knowing her, I find its question impossible to answer. But we get ahead of ourselves, two-handed one. Many seasons passed, and Genos grew stooped and lined as all Pan before her had. In her 77th winter, Genos had another vision. The Thane called to her, and she told her people it was time to seek it out, for the calamity was imminent. 500 Pan were assembled to undertake the expedition. Genos herself, a contingent of Red Widows, a party from each of the villages. Many imagined they would never see their queen again. Those that lived long enough came to know the taste of those words. When Genos, now as young and beautiful as the day she first beat death, emerged from the jungle once more, with 49 immortals at her back, she had been reborn a second time, as an Empress Eternal. For years they searched the forest, battling hunger, storms, and beasts red of tooth and claw. 20 winters passed. Many succumbed to death or to doubt. By the 21st spring, only 5 Red Widows and 44 common Pan stood at Genos' side. It was they whom she led into the clearing. It was they who beheld the Thane. It was they who tasted the fruit and felt time's weight fall from their shoulders. No plague has touched the Pan since, but calamity wears faces nearly as numerous as our god of old. Unless I am much mistaken, the Empress lives yet, for no funerary smoke has filled the sky above her ziggurat. If the Pan vanish from Yesha's soil, I imagine she will be the last to depart. With death thus leashed, The eternal Genus and her immortals brought forth an empire heretofore unknown. Great ziggurats were hewn from the living rock, and at their feet grew great cities lit by arcane magics. Genus's prophecies all came about, save one. If only the Pan of that epoch had wandered as it does two-handed one. What of the great calamity? But none worried, save a few vaults. The old ways were dying, and the Empress was not. No achievement seemed beyond the reach of the Pan. It was then that the wolf came. They called it the Ravager, the very obsidian beast the vaunts of old had glimpsed and hidden. It sprang from the jungle as sudden as a squall. It made no more than mutton of the bravest warrior. Fear fell like night across the empire. Death roamed Yaesha. Ravenous death none could tame. But the story of Yaesha is the story of who tastes the fruit of the Thane tree. 49 immortals begat many more. A deathless aristocracy. They traded favor with the Empress, traded years of life itself like fishmongers at market. There were those who would have seen the beast slain, but the Ravager was never much glimpsed that the Red Doe should not follow. And vice versa. The green things of the jungle sprang from the Red Doe's feet. But on what do green things grow, if not the flesh of departed life? Who knew what would become of the Doe if the Ravager were felled? Who knew what would become of the jungle? Who knew what would become of the Thane tree? It was the twice humbled Vaunts who kept the Empire from vanishing down the Ravager's throat, for the Vaunts had pondered the beast since it first appeared to them on Yaesha's shores. It was they who had learned to listen to Aethir's song. They who learned to appease the Ravager with tribute, with dance, and with music. Balance returned, and the wheel of time rolled on. The song of all living things. It permeates our forest. It whispers in the leaves, thrums in the soil, shines in the sun, babbles in the stream. The Vaunts devote themselves to the song's mystery. They play it to tap its power, as other Pan might use the energy of a crystal, or the heat of a flame. Those attuned in prayer hear it strongest, but all may catch its strain from time to time, even a Paxeltech. Who is to say? For that was hardly the last calamity to befall the Pan at Yaesha. With the Ravager appeased, the Empress dreamed of rule eternal. She should likely have had her wish. But for one thing, the Thane tree, that of the fruit of immortality, began to die. For many lifetimes her permanence hid this knowledge from all who served her, slave and immortal alike. And why not? She had amassed a great store of fruit, and surely something could be done to save the tree. Why crack the very bedrock of her society? But the tree's decline could not be arrested. Fruit was rationed. Noble lineages withered. We lay there, once prepared for the final death of death only those immortals who had fallen in battle or by misadventure. Now, we found ourselves winding wizened nobles in sap and muslin by the hundreds. Perhaps what came next was inevitable. Rebellion, insurrection, revolt. This was the fire that was to sweep through Yesha's jungle. For a life of lifetimes, the Eternal Empress had hidden the decline of the Thane Tree, but like the Vaughn's of old, had underestimated the power of one young, plague-addled Red Widow. Genus herself failed to foresee the power of one called Navun. Navun was one of her Eternity's own guards. How she learned of the rot at the roots of the Thane Tree, I cannot say. I know only that she had no taste for the Empress's deceptions. Navun fled the ziggurat and spread the news far and wide. Her words found home in the ears of the gull. Yesha's slave caste. No slaves could hope to challenge the power of an immortal aristocracy. But what about a nobility in disarray? One where the great and powerful would soon fight for scraps of fruit like bare-ribbed dogs. They rose, first singly, then in a tidal wave. The Empress found herself at war. Perhaps she might have won, if not for the Destroyer. It bridled when I called it God-murderer. Surprised I am that it should know so little of the deep track its kind have trekked across our soil. Let us walk those prints now, that it should be enlightened. Ever was Gina served by the Red Widows. She was still Widow Mother. Is still, if such a thing has any meaning now. Some among the widow's ranks forswore tenderness, and became instead her permanence's highest guard. Genus herself had been the lowest widow in her order, and she had turned Pan society inside out. How fitting, then, that the last and least of her own widow guard should become her greatest adversary. It has heard of Yesha civil war, of slave with blade of hoe to neck of noble, and noble with point of sword to belly of slave. Into that tempest walked one of its kind, Paxeltech. I cannot say why, though perhaps it might someday tell me from whence. Whatever its motive, hither came the Destroyer, even as the Pan turned their ravenous gaze toward the fruit of immortality. Our god of many faces remained satisfied with the scant worship of the vaunts and the commoners. It was an ever-present comfort. A guardian we scarcely thought of. The Destroyer, Paxeltech, oh yes, its kind, drove its blade into the pure heart of our guardian. We knew not that it was the god of many faces who kept the root from this world. But in death, many faces' absence was soon felt. In a world already torn by war, where caste let blood of caste, there came reports of some travelers, spoke of twisted horrors on the road, but we who relished in the weight of this wall only scoffed. Who knew that the very air could rip, that the world itself could tear and spill like a wineskin under hoof? Oh, how we fought, priest and prince and pauper, side by side. Our world's lifeblood drizzling through our fingers as we clutched at the hanging tatters of Yesha's slit throat. Most perished. And I thought our tale told, our race run. And yet, among the Pan, there is a saying. Why just ask the Rin? I gave the impression perhaps that Yesha was uninhabited at the arrival of the Pan, save for the doe, the wolf, the birds, and the beasts. This is not so. The Rin slink Yesha's canopy on leathery wings. Perhaps they once thought to defend their forest. But Lash and Lure put that to rest. Lash in that no Rin could hope to withstand the onslaught of energy we Pan have learned to draw from Yesha's native crystal. The Flying Ones have no talent for crystal craft. Lure in that under normal circumstances, Rin eggs reach maturity only with great difficulty. I know not who first discovered the potential for symbiosis between our species. Only that it is a whimsical god indeed who sends the most precious resource one kind could hope to acquire out the hind end of the other. As sure as there is iron in the soil of Yesha, there is irony. It was a pad-footed Paxeltech who slew our guardian and brought the root. Would it be so strange to see a Paxeltech drive them from our shores? Perhaps. Perhaps as with Genus and the Voon. The strangeness is the point. It has done me a service unpayable. No reward can suffice. But perhaps, if it cannot be rewarded, it can be equipped. Colket brought war, then wisdom. Its forebears brought the root, but its wisdom stayed the flames, that I might live beyond the hated knot. Take this now, as a token of my gratitude. The Pan must put their faith in action and belief, not weapons and walls. I forever owe it thanks, as shall the many souls scattered on these steps. To them I must tend. Be well, two-handed warrior. Be strange fate's agent. There is no more I can teach the two-handed warrior. It has heard all. Still, I welcome its company.
Come and get some. Okay, this is it.